When I look through the scriptures, every famine that happened, every economic downturn, every plague, every disease, the people of God were sustained through every season that the world went through because they put their trust in Him. Because when your trust is in the Lord, you are secure.
The Lord is my shepherd, and I shall not be in want. In other words, God says, I will take care of all your needs if you'll just trust me. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. And even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me.
Sometimes when you're following Jesus, He leads you right into a storm. Remember, in the New Testament, there are 2 times when the disciples found themselves in a storm, in a boat. They thought they were going to die both times. But they were in the storm, they were in their trouble, not because they were doing things wrong. They were in trouble because they were doing things right. They were following Jesus. They were obeying what He told them to do. They were following His directions, and His directions led them right into a storm. You know, it's easy to say that we trust God when everything's good and everything's happy and all is going according to plan. We say, oh yeah, I'm just trusting the Lord and look how good everything is. But it's a whole other deal to trust God when things are not so good. You see, to trust God means you have to allow Him to do what He wants to do, even if He fails. And you say, well, He can't fail, He's God. And that's the point. He can't fail. Therefore, we must trust Him enough to let Him succeed.
The Bible says it like this in 1 Peter 4, verse 12. Dear friends, don't be surprised or shocked when you go through painful trials and fiery tests in life. The Bible says, in the world you will have tribulation. 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verses 17 and 18 says this. For our temporary, listen, it's not going to last, our temporary and momentary troubles will not last. The problems around us, but on what is unseen. For what is seen is temporary. It's not going to last. But what is unseen is eternal.
You have to believe that God knows what is best, that He will not abandon you, He will not let go of you, that you will not be destroyed by this trouble. You have to take Him at His word when He says, I will never leave you or abandon you. You have to take Him at His word when He says, I take all things and work them together for your good. The seed of faith, the trouble that you are in, will not last. The trouble will not last. It is light and momentary compared to the eternal glory that awaits you. It is all about your perspective. How you see the trouble is how you will face the trouble. If you see it in fear, you'll face it in fear. If you see it in doubt, you'll face it in doubt. If you see it in faith, you will face it in faith.
Maybe a little less listening to the internet and a little bit more listening to God. That will give you confidence. That will give you stability. That will replace your panic with prayer. It will replace your worry with worship. It will replace your anxiety with adoration. Remember, this is not the end of the story, because we don't know what the future holds, but we do know who holds the future. We don't know all that's going to go ahead, but we're not frightened by it because we know the end of the story. We've read the last chapter of the book. We know that God is in control. We know that God is not surprised by this, that God is bigger than this, and Romans 8:28 is still true. All things work together for the good of those who love God, with the called according to his purpose.